If there's a Super Bowl for scam artists, it likely falls around April 15th, which is, of course, tax filing day. These guys are now using AI technology to try and convince people they're speaking with an authentic IRS agent. I spoke with James Turgal at Optiv Security, which is a cybersecurity firm. He has 22 years of experience with the FBI. Here's our discussion about these scams.
But now, right, with the artificial intelligence, the large language models, right, you can actually automate voice. And so you've got threat actors out there that are posing as, special agents from the Internal Revenue Service, and they're creating scripts that actually will adapt in real time. So they're calling these victims, telling them that you're in the middle of a tax investigation, and the LLM can actually interact with the victims and actually read the tone of the victim's voice, and will actually increase the threat pressure on them, right? The LLM's smart enough now to use words like penalties and levy. And if the people on the other end, the victims start to get, nervous and they start to stutter and it can read that kind of tone, it'll turn up the heat more to use words like arrest warrant, and really is forcing these people to make irrational decisions.
And who are these scammers targeting? Who's most at risk?
So certainly the elderly is absolutely at risk. I've seen younger victims because they're not used to the tax system. Much older victims, the middle class, right in the middle, probably not as much. Except that, again, most of these threat actors are opportunistic, so they're probably not looking at all of the demographics. They're just trying to hit whoever they can hit the fastest.
Talk about how, what people should look out for, some of the red flags.
Yeah, so please realize, all your viewers, right? The IRS does not communicate with you via text or email until you opt in, right? They absolutely their legitimate communication is through the U.S. Postal Service, and you have to actually engage, in a telephone conversation with an IRS agent to give consent to opt in to get a text or an email from them. So if you get a text or an email right off the bat, it is an absolute scam. But also the red flags of if they're claiming to be, an IRS agent, and immediately demanding payment, or, they want payment in unconventional means like Bitcoin or PayPal or gift cards. Okay, those are absolute red
Hmm.
flags. And you really have to pay attention if it's coming from an email, let's say, it has to be right, the irs.gov domain, right? An IRS agent is not going to communicate with you via a Gmail account.
Why do you think some of these tax scams are just so effective?
Taxes, right? People are afraid of death and taxes, right, Jeremy? I mean, it's right. So
Yeah.
people are terrified of the IRS, for whatever reason, right? The stories, if you don't pay your taxes, right? They come after you. They are aggressive at that. So I'm certain that it's the aggressive nature of enforcement actions that they've heard, stories they've heard, as though they're terrified of the IRS. And so if and the threat actors realize that, right?
Is there anything else you think people should know around this time of year for tax season?
Yeah, they just you got to realize, right? Anybody who's coming at you for any reason that you don't know, with a sense of urgency or a pressure to click on something or download something, right? That is they're preying on you, right? That is an absolute indicator, right? To get away from that, delete it, don't click anything, hang up the phone, right? Nobody's going to pressure like that, especially the IRS.
And here's something else you should know. These tax scams are going to continue well after the April 15th deadline. I spoke with the consumer advocacy group at checkbook.org about that.
The tax scams aren't going to stop after the April 15th deadline. They'll just change the pitch a little bit for the next couple of months. Oh, we spotted a problem with a return. Oh, you didn't claim enough deductions. We have more money waiting for you. Whatever will get you motivated to respond to that pitch is what the pitch is going to be. You have to know the IRS will never contact you that way. Don't fall for it.